Well, we have our friend Richard Goldberg with us, and no better expert on what goes on in the Middle East than he. And he also worked in the National Security Council for President Trump. Richard Goldberg, Benjamin Netanyahu put out this really harmless video, 45 seconds long, saying, hey, look, we need our weapons, we need our ammunition. It's been promised to us. Congress paid for it and passed it. And we're not getting what we need. I mean, we got Hezbollah in the north. We're trying to defeat Hamas. I'm adding a little bit of meat to this. And he said he hopes that that the slow movement will speed up. So the Biden administration went in full character assassination mode. They go to their favorite backstabbing Israeli, who backstabs, in my view, the administration in Israel, and that's Barak Ravin over there at the Axios. They go to Politico. They go to the Washington Post. It's all over the place. We don't know what he's talking about. We don't know what he's an ingrate. We don't know what he's talking about. Well, Richard, I have article after article where the administration is bragging that they're withholding weapons, they're withholding ammunition, they're sitting on F-15s, they're doing all these things. Bernie Sanders says it's not enough. The moron senator in Maryland says we got to do more. We got to cut them off. Now, I'm confused. Are they slow-walking ammunition and weapons or cutting them off as the administration has been bragging? Or is the administration is now saying today, we don't really know what they're talking about? What's going on?
Mark, they are 100% absolutely withholding key munitions from Israel. We know that to be true. The reason why the administration started briefing people about what they wanted people to know about that they were withholding is because there were starting to be press reports weeks ago coming from industry sources, American contractors who were ready to ship weapons to Israel, who were told to take things off of airplanes, take things off of ships, don't send them all of a sudden by the White House. And according to those reports, these were not some dumb bombs, 2,000-pound bombs. These were precision-guided munitions, the conversion kits that Israel needs to take a dumb bomb and make it a precision weapon. And they don't want people to know that. They want the narrative to be, we are not going to give Israel these big bombs that can kill a lot of civilians, even though, of course, we know that's a whole bunch of baloney, Hamas propaganda, as if a democracy like Israel, a moral country, is going to try to target civilians. We know they're not going to do that. But what they don't want you to know is that they're actually withholding the precision-guided munitions that Israel needs to effectively do the job, not just in Gaza, but also in Lebanon against Hezbollah, because if they drain Israel of these precision-guided munitions, if they don't have the JDAMs and the spice bombs that they need to take on both Hamas and Hezbollah, then all they have are bigger dumb bombs left, and they'll start running out of those as well. And they're going to fear in Israel, oh my gosh, if we just use the dumb bombs, we might have more civilian casualties. We can't do that either. It's all part of a strategy to strangle Israel into conceding to both Hamas and to Hezbollah, Iran ultimately. So what do you have here? The conclusion is, whether he's directly colluding or not, the president has made himself an effective partner with the Islamic Republic of Iran in the supreme leader's ring of fire strategy around Israel. The Iranians are the ones with the terror groups firing on Israel, and the president of the United States is the one squeezing Israel into surrender. That's what's happening. And to have the leader of a free country of Israel have to take to a video like that to very subtly, gently say, hey, things have been going slow, but Secretary Blinken assured me they're going to speed up. I hope so. He didn't come out guns blazing. But the fact that he felt he needed to do this because other channels weren't working was a big sign. And I got to say, the reaction of the White House being over-the-top denials, this is outrageous, what is he accusing us of? Someone doth protest too much, I would say.
Well, they were bragging about it before. And as I recall, the Republicans in the House actually passed legislation to try and prevent Biden from withholding weapons, did they not?
They did. It's sitting in the Senate.
Okay, so were they just reacting to nothing? We had two Democrats that were blocking F-15s, 50 of them, that were ordered by Israel, prepared to go to Israel, and they're still, even though they've lifted their hold, the administration is still slow-walking those F-15s, is it not?
Correct.
And I remember reading articles. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, cumulatively, the precision-guided munitions, that's stuff that they need today. F-15s, that's going to be several years. They need to notify.
Well, but they need them. They need them with Hezbollah. They know how to fly the F-15, in my humble opinion. And here's the other thing. I have articles in front of me here, and I used to read them on the air as they came out. They were withholding tank shells from the Israelis. They were withholding other types of common munitions that the Israelis need. Benjamin Netanyahu wouldn't put out a tape like that if he didn't know exactly what the hell's going on here. So for this administration to go on and act like, well, we're giving them everything they want, there's only one shipment, that's just a lie, isn't it?
It is a lie. It is absolutely a lie. We have multiple press reports, and the President of the United States' own statement on CNN, which makes it very clear. He's not just doing this, he's proud that he's doing this because he wants to go tell all of his pro-Hamas base. He wants to be able to walk into the DNC with all the Hamasniks around and say, don't worry, I've been cutting off Israel from all the weapons that they need to defend themselves. He's proud of that. The people inside that administration are proud of that.
As a matter of fact, Richard Goldberg, I want you to stick with me for about a minute and a half, and I want to play it. We've actually had it. Wasn't long ago. It was May 8th of this year, but they're in Burnett on CNN. Cut 14, Mr. Producer. Go.
I want to ask you about something happening as we sit here and speak, and that, of course, is Israel is striking Rafah. I know that you have paused, Mr. President, shipments of 2,000-pound U.S. bombs to Israel due to concern that they could be used in any offensive on Rafah. Have those bombs, those powerful 2,000-pound bombs, been used to kill civilians in Gaza?
Civilians have been killed in Gaza as a consequence of those bombs and other ways in which they go after population centers. And I made it clear that if they go into Rafah, they haven't gone into Rafah yet. If they go into Rafah, I'm not supplying the weapons that have been used historically to deal with Rafah, to deal with the cities, to deal with that problem. We're going to continue to make sure Israel is secure in terms of Iron Dome and their ability to respond to attacks like came out of the Middle East recently. But it's just wrong. We're not going to supply the weapons and the artillery shells used that have been used.
Artillery shells as well.
Yeah.
There it is. Hold on. I knew I heard it and read it somewhere. So it goes all the way down to artillery shells. Now, before I finish this, Rich Goldberg, they weren't dropping 2,000-pound bombs on civilians, were they?
No. Of course not.
So what the hell is he talking about?
This is all Hamas propaganda. Why did we build a $320 million pier to nowhere that apparently is already being dismantled without ever working to solve a famine that never existed? All of this has been ever since the Michigan primary and the president deciding this is bad politics for me. I got to cut bait. I'm no longer for Israel. That's what all of this is about. He wants everything to stop. Who cares where Hamas is on the battlefield? Who cares what Hezbollah's threat looks like in Lebanon? Who cares what Iran's doing on its nuclear program? I just want it all to stop. Israel just needs to stop so I can get through November. I think that's exactly what's going on here.
And he can claim that he brought peace to the Middle East. That's what he wants to be able to claim. I brought a settlement. I brought in a... Now, here's the other thing. Hezbollah is firing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rockets into Israel, serious rockets built by the Iranians, paid for by us in many respects, directly and indirectly. Israel's preparing to go in there and put an end to this. It's going to be a very brutal war. They have about 100,000 terrorists in their army, so to speak. And Biden sends another hack over there to tell Netanyahu and that government to stand down. How do you stand down when another country's firing cumulatively thousands of missiles into your country?
You can't. Just imagine this. I mean, this has got to be the comparison for any American who's listening to understand what's happening. Let's just say there was a massive terrorist organization with missiles and drones on the Canadian border with the United States, and it was firing on a daily basis into Michigan and into Wisconsin and into Minnesota, and we have had to evacuate all of those states south. And now they're going to start throwing missiles farther south. Now it's going to go into Illinois. It's going to go into Ohio. It's going to go into Indiana. And we're supposed to just sit there and do nothing? We're just supposed to say, hey, I'm sorry, there's an election coming. Somebody doesn't want us to defend ourselves. We're just going to have to give up these states permanently and make our country smaller and allow this terrorist organization to continue firing further and further and further south and shrink the United States. It's not possible for a democracy to sit there and allow this to happen. It's ludicrous. It is actually existential, only it's not the size of the United States of America with one or two states under attack. It's the size of New Jersey in the state of Israel. And it's shrinking de facto by not being able to respond and push Hezbollah back from its border to where, by the way, the United Nations itself said Hezbollah was supposed to be north of the Litani River 18 years ago after the last Lebanon war. So, again, President Biden is taking Iran's side in this. We're giving sanctions relief to Iran. We're pumping the money that Iran's using to fund all of these wars around the Middle East, and then telling the Israelis, I'm not going to give you the weapons to defend yourself, so that you have to submit to Iran and its proxies, because I want peace and quiet to claim that I've done something before the election. It is completely outrageous. It's antithetical to our values. It's antithetical to our interests. And it's something that the Congress has to fight. And to your point, Mark, the Senate has the bill to do it. We should be mounting a massive campaign right now. No, nothing else in the Senate. We want this bill at the House passed to go through. Then you force the president's hand, and everything that Israel needs to defend itself gets put on a plane.
Mm-hmm. Hezbollah is a creation of Iran, and it is a real army with real weapons, and Israel needs to fight them. And so, are we to believe Joe Biden last month? Are we to believe Joe Biden today? Even this sort of reprobate reporter is a little surprised. Now, wait a minute. Shells that are used in tanks, you're withholding them too? He says, yes, we're going to. Okay, they went into Rafah, Richard. So he must be withholding them. He must be withholding other things that Israel needs that we're not even aware of at this point, don't you think?
Absolutely. And remember, if Israel has to go into southern Lebanon, they're going to need tank shells. They're going to need artillery. They're going to need JDAMs. He's holding up everything Israel needs to actually respond to Hezbollah, not just to finish off Hamas. And I think that's exactly what this is all about.
And I don't think the Prime Minister would have put out that audio, and I don't think he'd be going to the United States Congress to speak if his back wasn't against the wall in his dealings with this administration. One other thing while I have you, it looks like Iran is really, really close now with its nuclear weapons program. There was to be a meeting in Washington, apparently, with some of the Israeli government's top officials, like Dermer and so forth, and top officials in the Biden administration, and they either canceled it or postponed it because of Netanyahu's video. Are these people serious? These bastards in Iran are going to have a nuclear weapon before we blink. And they're playing games over the Prime Minister's video? What do you make of that?
Well, it's really interesting. A different story had leaked out just before the video and all of this chaos that had come out that talked about the fact that the Israelis have new intelligence that Iran is working on weaponization. So not just the enrichment, the production of the enriched uranium that we hear about on TV, and that is itself a very bad direction that President Biden has allowed Iran to go down. But now the actual work to build a weapon that we've been told for years is not happening. There is some sort of intelligence now that says Iran is working on the computer modeling to build the weapon, and that's a very important thing that's happening. That means that the president is funding Iran's nuclear weapons program, and he can't say he's not. He is providing billions of dollars to Iran, and he's getting nothing but Iran advancing its nuclear weapons in return. There is no putting Iran in a box. There's no restrictions on Iran. He's literally subsidizing Iran's advancement toward a nuclear weapon. I think potentially he doesn't want to talk to the Israelis about this. He doesn't want to actually have this conversation. He wants to be in denial that there's weaponization work going on because he knows that his policy is driving this in the wrong direction.
Yes, and he's withholding, I think, ammo and rest of it from Israel because ultimately he doesn't want them to attack this site in Iran, which the Israelis could have done last month after the Iranians fired missiles into Israel. It's exactly the wrong government. The wrong government at the wrong time, that is in the United States. This is reprehensible. This man is going to get us into World War III. I think Donald Trump is right. Richard Goldberg, I want to thank you very much. God bless you, my friend.
You too.
All right, take care of yourself.